Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Tea with me, Alisha Bowker Mudrock. Today I have Ashley Ann on with us. I was able to be a guest on her podcast, which is awesome, and you should definitely check it out, called Beyond the Surface. But I was a guest on hers, I don't know, middle of last year, and that's how we sort of became connected. And I've been following her journey ever since, and she's just such an inspiration, just so wise, always has really thoughtful, incredible things to say and offer. So I'm so excited that she's here with us today. But in conjunction with doing her podcast, she's also an creative alchemist and book coach, helping authors turn their life experiences into powerful tools for transformation. She hails from Canada, correct? Am I right about that? And just got married this last year. So lots of exciting things in her year, personally and professionally. And we're so excited to have her. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to chat again. We had such a good conversation, so
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where we go again right
Yes,
now.
me too. I know now that we've actually like met each other and know a little bit more than the
Mhm.
last time.
Yeah.
Um, so this will be folks will be listening in New Year's Eve or in the new year. So happy New Year. And what I thought could be really helpful today is really just thinking about this transition day of looking
Mhm.
back to the year that we just had and then looking ahead to the new year and just kind of opening it up to thoughts and directions and insights from that
Yeah.
starting point.
Yeah, I think what, at least for me and what I've been doing in my own like world and space, and it just feels like for me also in this like very interesting transition period where I'm kind of coming out of this transition in a sense and like starting this coming out from like a
Mhm.
long 2 year period. And I think the starting point too, and something to not overlook, and I feel like we hear it a lot in this space of personal growth and transformation and in this space, we can't underestimate the power of being able to sit and reflect
Mm.
on everything that has unfolded, like just everything that you've experienced, everything that you've learned, everything that you've kind of like solidified in your being and who you've become along the way. And also having this space to sit with, what are the things that necessarily, maybe not necessarily that it didn't go so well, but also just those moments that, this is not something that I want to bring into this like
Mm.
fresh new beginning, this new year ahead. I really want to do less of this and more of that. And I think we just can't underestimate the power of creating that space for ourselves, whether you're doing that by yourself or whether that you're doing that with a partner, a business partner. Like we have to create this space for ourselves to actually go inward, because when you spend that time going inward, that's where you can really start to just understand like your way of being and be able to just celebrate yourself, because we
Mm.
could do more of that. Like we truly
Yes.
can do so much more of holding space for ourselves and acknowledging ourselves and celebrating the hell of ourselves.
Yes. I always am talking about celebration.
Mhm.
I just put a book out this past year, and in that book, it's not even that long. I talk about celebration like three different times because I think
Yes.
it's that important. And again, not the big celebrations like weddings and birthdays and babies and whatever else, which are so important to celebrate. But they're, of course, we're going to celebrate those. But I think it's the small stuff because, like you're saying,
Yeah.
those things don't happen without a million other steps and choices and dedication and intention prior to
Hmm.
it. And sometimes we're so on to the next, like we're so on to, okay, it's the new year and I'm already thinking about spring and I'm already thinking about my summer travels and like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa. There's so much opportunity to feel more control and
Hmm.
intention about kind of where you're headed if you just take that moment to slow down than getting stuck on that autopilot or on the wave of everyone else's wants, desires, needs,
Oh my gosh, so
etc.
much in that. Intention is like my like love word. I love that so much. I use it all the time. It also feels very good to set intentions rather than, I feel like there's always like a time and place for goals.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a different energy when it comes to like goals and intention for me. And for me, it's like the last 2 years have really just been like what's the intention? There's almost been a lot more of like the slowness of like building on my foundation. And now going into this new year, it's like, all right, now we're kind of like stepping up and we're kind of transitioning into like, now it's time to set some goals. Now it's time to do the thing. And I think what makes me real, like just when I'm listening to you, it's also just, especially the wave of other people's desires, we can get
Yeah.
so trapped in
Yeah.
this loop. And we can also just get trapped in this energy or just even the pressure of, oh my God, it's a new year and I've got to like go and I've got
Do
to
all
do
the
all the
things
things and
and
we just got to go
yeah.
off with the bang. And if you don't, you've already kind of lost in a sense. And I
Right.
think
Like,
it's
why even
just
try the race? You already are out.
exactly. And I think that pressure is something that we have to be so mindful of and conscious of. And for me, that's what it's been like the last 2 years. It's just
Mm,
been slow starts. It was, more of a focus on kind of like family, personal life, planning a wedding, getting like renovating our home. Like it was more of that, more of like a very inward process. And so that can be a trip up if you're not mindful of what everyone else is doing and you're kind of just like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not
yeah.
doing enough. And you start getting into this like downward spiral and all these stories start to come up. And so I think what's really important as well is just the reminder is to also honor whatever season that you're in.
So
I
important.
think even as December wraps up, like for me, I understand that people are kind of in the space of like they're slowing down for the holidays, but like don't let also that be the story either. Because if you're feeling that energy and you're feeling it, run with it,
Fight
go
it.
with it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And then the same happens too if that the start of the year and you're just not feeling there yet, that doesn't mean anything either. It's just
Right.
it's all
It's
what
still
we
just a
make
day.
things mean. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of like dismantling the timeline of things.
Yeah.
We can't deny the energy of like that new beginning,
Mm-hmm.
which has just kind of been
Mm-hmm.
ingrained enough, but at the same time, this idea of timing, it's also an illusion too. So we kind of have to be mindful of this like duality that we're always experiencing.
Yeah. Technically, every day is the start of the new year. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's this time clock
Exactly.
starts. But I do think that there is something about a collective
Mhm.
communal energy that we do get. Like it's a global, we all recognize, we've called this a calendar. These are the
Yeah.
days, this is our year. For I mean, I get even there's different calendars, but like let's call
Yep.
the US one. It's like the Canadian one. This January 1st marks something. So there's something to also ride on that like energy of others. Because we're
Hmm.
not solo people, we are very
Yeah.
tribal in nature. And so that can feel really beneficial at times. But within that like larger conversation, I think that's where it's so important, like you're saying, to have that awareness and reflection of, but where am I at in this bigger storyline? Because we all are not like, woo, new year, like some people are
Hmm.
sad, some people are
Yeah.
like already dreading it, some people are pumped, some people are over it already. So it's, where are you in that season? And then how to figure out how you can kind of rework that story to continue to get you somewhere that's beneficial and the best version
Hmm.
for you, but honoring the actual energy and life stage and circumstances that you find yourself
Exactly.
in on,
Exactly.
December 31st. So,
Yeah, I know it's cliche, but you can't compare your, chapter 1 to somebody else's, chapter 10, right? It's kind of that like mentality of just we're all going to be in different phases and chapters and the most important thing that we can do is just come back to like honoring ourselves in that season that we're in and the best way that you can do that is instead of looking and trying to source the answer externally and outside of you, because that is only giving up your power, just constantly check in with yourself. Like, what do I need today? Like, where am I at today? And what do I need today? And
mhm.
focus on nourishing that part of yourself. Because I feel like, is especially if, as entrepreneurs, like we're going to be in different stages of business. So many times we're just going to constantly be cycling through these different phases. And so there's going to be periods of time where it's going to be more of an inward journey, more of building up this foundation as you kind of maybe pivot.
Yep.
And then there's going to be other seasons where it's kind of like the summer and you're like on and just tunnel vision.
Yeah.
We're all just going to have these different seasons and we're going to need different things in different parts of the season. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me is just honoring where you are and trusting where you're at and trying to like eliminate the pressures that you're feeling that are coming just from externally.
Yeah. What would you say are some ways in which you would recommend folks can reflect? Like I think we understand what that word means, but
Yeah.
tangibly, what does it mean to reflect or go inward to kind of even answer the question for maybe some people aren't as attuned or aware of kind of where they're at or what they want or what's going on. So
Mm.
do you have any strategies or ideas of how people can kind of connect to that or do that?
Yeah, I feel like I'm speaking from like just my own experience, especially over this like last year. One of my biggest kind of intentions for this year was just to really connect back to myself. And instead of like kind of seeking anything outside of me, it was always like when there was some sort of answer or something that I was kind of in search for, I always asked myself the question. And I think that's where we begin to develop this relationship with ourselves and just more on a deeper level of just like your soul, your higher self, whatever you want to call that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like physically asking yourself, all right, like whatever it is that you believe in, God, universe, your guides, whatever that connection of to higher source, whatever that looks like for you, I think that is one of the beautiful ways that you can start developing and reflect, creating that relationship is, all right, this is what I'm experiencing right now, and kind of like giving it back. Like, this is what I'm experiencing right now. This is where I'm frustrated. This is where I'm feeling like not clear and I'm feeling a little lost here. And this is just what I'm feeling. You
Mm-hmm.
can have that direct conversation, over like your meditation, whatever that looks like for you. But also too, I mean, don't be afraid to pull out the journal and feel like if you have to just like write down like this is what
Yeah.
I'm feeling and letting yourself process through that. I think for me as well, this year has been like reconnecting with like journaling for me. And
Mm,
again, we always go through these phases. And I think we just
yes.
have to just allow ourselves to, if we're feeling inclined to be like reading all the books, then that's the
Read all the
season that
books.
we're in,
Yeah.
right? And then don't be ashamed if you're like, someone asks you, like, what books have you read this year? And you're like,
You're like,
none.
none. Or only books like bad romantic fantasy books or something, like nothing to help me be
Exactly.
a better human.
Exactly. I think we just, and it's like this thing that we're like, it's like, in order to be in this space of like personal growth, you got to journal every day. Crap.
Right.
Like, it's
Right.
so bogus. And so for me, it was just like reigniting that like spark that I love for journaling. And through journaling, it's just been really powerful ways for me to, again, it's like that physical aspect of being able to really see what's happening and being able to
Mm-hmm.
understand myself in a
Mm-hmm.
whole other way, or just understand situations that have come up that have left me feeling frustrated or hurt
Mm-hmm.
or have just brought up these like triggers. Writing has been my way to be able to just like understand and be able to actually like shift these perspectives. But I think so it's finding that modality that works best for you. But
Mm-hmm.
I think even the simplest little thing, this sounds very, the simplest little thing of like going to your partner, going to a family member to kind of vent, even that practice is in a way, instead of having that practice with someone else, have
Have it
that
with yourself.
practice with yourself,
Yep.
higher self, God, whatever that looks like. Go there first instead
Yep.
of I need to run to my partner. I need to run to like call my mother, call my sister, and like vent. Do this first and
Mm-hmm.
notice what
Mm-hmm.
begins to change and unfold. And that was a very like new practice for me, but it was,
Mm,
as I started getting into like the medicine of cacao, like that's where I started to build this relationship. And it's like this beautiful reminder of like everything. I've got everything that I need
yes. Yes.
everything.
Yes.
You know everything. You know what you need best. It's
Yep.
all here
Yep.
in every way capacity, everything that you're searching for, everything that you're like uncertain about. And it's so empowering when you don't force the answer to come or whatever that looks like, when you don't force it and then you receive it and you're like, I did this all by myself.
Yes.
It's very empowering. It's a very empowering moment because it's like, I know I got myself and I know what I need.
Right.
and you build this trust back up with yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is
Mm-hmm.
the ultimate thing that we can carry with us in any business that we create, in any like transition that we go through.
Yeah.
That is everything when you know you can trust yourself.
Yeah. Definitely in my therapy hat, something I talk with clients a lot about is like when we're looking for validation, what if we took a pause?
Mm,
Because I think it's important to have moments of connection and spaces to talk through things with people. But if I need to tell someone about the guy that cut me off and how pissed I am and get permission to feel that pissed, then that's a problem. I'm allowed to just be
mm,
mad and like be in my feeling, and then I can share that story later. Like you said, take that for myself first, and I can be like, oh my gosh, can you believe what happened? And I just want some
yeah.
like extra support around it. Great. But there is such a difference of like, I don't trust. It's that trust thing. I don't trust myself. I need someone else to tell me I'm allowed to feel this, or I should buy that
Mm,
sweater, or this is a good idea, or that's the thing. And nobody knows. Even your most well-intentioned people in your life, they don't know because they're not you, right? So stop
mhm,
giving that power away. And I think it is
mhm.
so empowering, and it's such a change when I've challenged people or done it myself of like, what if you just waited 30 minutes?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you don't even need to go talk to anyone about it because like you could do it for yourself. And it actually maybe
Mhm.
even made the moment pass quicker, didn't dramatize
Mm,
something, made you feel more confident and like excited about something, didn't get you more confused. Like when we let too many people in to things that they aren't necessarily needing to be a part of, it just makes the waters a lot more murky, and it just slowly chips away at that self-trust, even
mm,
though it seems like such a simple, innocent act. But every time we're doing that, it's actually really hurting us in the long
mhm.
run, you know?
Yes, I love your therapy hat. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly the, and
Yeah.
it's very it does seem like a small little task that's not harming us. But it's just again comes back to the, I guess, think about the intention of why you're doing it, the intention
Mm-hmm.
behind why we do
Mm-hmm.
anything. And yeah, it's really powerful when you create that space to not like fill the void. But I think part of it too is like that space that we feel a little uncomfortable about. Like, what do
Yeah.
you mean I just gotta like pause? What do you
Yeah.
mean I just gotta like not do the thing? Yeah, this is how we start to kind of rewire those habits that are so ingrained in us that
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily that they're always harming us,
No.
but there's just ways that we can empower ourselves even more so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this year, I have a lot of exciting energy around. I don't know what it is, something in the water, but I'm just feeling like jazzed for it. And I'm actually going to be doing a free 21-day challenge starting January 6th, incorporating, I just got my Pilates certification. So incorporating some like movement with mind body connection, just 15 minutes a day for 21 days. But I'm calling it the year of you. And that's sort of gonna
Mm,
my intention or my phrase for the year. So I guess the year of me, the year of you for everyone else that I'm advertising it to. But
yeah.
I'm resonating with this because like what you're saying, I think it's been like also a learning year for me, of a quieter year where somewhere I don't have any like friends locally. So it's been a lot more of like hibernation,
Mm,
like discomfort because I'm such a social butterfly, and that's been hard, but I've just been trying to like buckle down and like learn more about myself and like what it means to be in that slower period. So I think I'm ready to like burst out of my cocoon in this new season. But like, what does it mean to think about this year as a year for you? Like, what if you were at the top of your list and then everything else came behind that? Like, how does that unfold? And I think this goes right along with how, like, you already have it all. You already have all those answers. You already know what that is. But really sitting and honestly thinking about yourself in this season, 2024 to 2025, like, where am I today? What's ahead? What was
mhm.
behind? How does the year of you look right now? And it's going to be a different answer for everybody. But I think it's
Yeah.
such a great universal question to ask, because then it's going back to that self-trust and back to the source to really make this year what we need it to be, not what
Mm,
everyone else needs it to be for us.
yeah. And I think we tap into a just more like, when you think about this time next year when we're reflecting on 2025, it feels different. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
there's a different sense of like fulfillment because I think it's again, you kind of, and that's what feels very different about this year. There's a there's a deep sense of like fulfillment with what's happened internally with me. And
Mm,
there's words that it won't necessarily ever be able to translate into words, but then you're going to know that you're showing up differently. And it's not that you're showing up differently necessarily for other people, but you show up differently for yourself.
yourself.
And I just resonate too so much with the year of you. Like that kind of feels like the energy of like what I'm going into this like new year, especially just like taking this space to really hone back in on like my expertise and my zone of genius, and also just being able to like let that take up space and allow
Yeah.
myself to express um all that has like transpired and all the like ideas that have been marinating over this last year, last 2 years, and just like allowing it to like be put out there and to be seen for this like level of expertise and the level of depth. But I resonate so much with this piece around the year of you. And I think one of these key pieces, kind of going back to just everything that we're talking about too, it's like it's also asking yourself like how can you nourish your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
you know we can't forget, because at the end of the day, this is all where the nervous system regulation comes in. And that has been something that I've kind of just recently understand through just my own like this podcast episode that I have coming out as well, with someone who just really focuses on this. And I was like, interesting. I've always been
Mm,
doing this. And part of me was always kind of like, what's this nervous system regulation? Like, what are we talking about here?
yeah. Yeah.
And then you just realize, like, oh, wait, I've been doing that already.
Because
I've been
you know how to do it.
exactly. And
But having
like,
language makes it so much more
mhm,
powerful. Like
yeah.
naming it and knowing it and then using it intentionally is helpful, but like we know how to do all the things, like you're
Yes.
saying.
And you know what you need. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all it's been, is just tuning into, I know
Mm-hmm.
that I need to move my body on a regular basis. And I've
Yeah.
built this practice with the gym and my movement, and just that's the priority. Move every single day. Like how can I move my body? How can I be in my body more? Because then I notice the difference when I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in my body and the disconnect that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we always have to kind of look at the nourishing ourselves, but have these different pillars. Like, how am
Yes.
I nourishing my mind? How am I nourishing my body? How am I nourishing my soul? And I feel like that's like where we come to this approach of like just feeling whole.
Yes.
And then you start to see where the ripple effect happens in just every single area of your life when you are nourishing your entire self.
Yeah. And understanding that while they are separate, they also are so intrinsically linked.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're
Mm-hmm.
journaling, no, you're not
Yeah.
out running a marathon, but you're in your body through those feelings that are coming up
Mm,
while you're journaling. You're connecting to like that soul piece of the bigger conversation that's being had. And you're working on your mind, right? Like, or even in the gym, in theory, in Pilates especially, like if you're not in your body in the moment and you're thinking about dinner, you're not in Pilates. Like you need it should be
yes.
everything is so intentional and it's like every little piece. And so I just love how while they technically would fit in a box, there's all these elements that
So
still
true.
go into the other columns or boxes as well.
Mm, I
And
love that.
it, yeah, but like being, and sometimes it's like we don't even have to change. And I think that's like the biggest piece. It's like we don't really even have to change a lot. It's just if I already do X, Y, and Z things, but now I'm doing them with intention, like, oh,
Yes.
this is this was actually good for me. I'm going to go to the gym for me, not because I'm supposed to
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. I don't, my routine is the same, but the experience is so much richer, right? Or just like, I already talked to my friends, I already have some journaling practice, I already have some spiritual practice or whatever. But like, what if I thought about it of like how it fits for me and like what
Mm.
I'm needing right now or how I want to show up for it, or I'm choosing it in a more impactful way. Nothing changed. I didn't need more hours in the day. I didn't need to develop some new skill or spend $1 million, but like the impact is so much greater, you know?
Oh my gosh. That is like underline all of that for those that are listening. Like let's take that into is just bringing more intentionality to
Yeah.
everything that we do, because you're absolutely right. Like things don't have to change. I think sometimes we go through this kind of, this little spiral of, oh my God, I have to change everything that I'm doing already. And it's like, You don't need these drastic
Right.
changes of like, I'm doing everything wrong. No, you are. It's just how can we bring just more presence
Right.
to what you're doing? Because
Right.
that's what happens. We get in this autopilot and we're kind of like, we're here, we're at the gym and we're like, oh my God, I got to do this, this, and this. And I notice that all the time for me. And also, what's funny is a little tiny shift for me. This has helped me like just bring so much more focus back. So, I mean, for those that feel like they're just like kind of all over the place, binaural beats change your life. Binaural
Ah,
beats are, I would listen to them as I'm like creating and doing stuff like that, and that would help me focus. I cannot listen to anything else at the gym now. It's so weird. I
interesting.
used to have like the Latin playlist, the hype
Yeah.
music, but it would actually make me feel very anxious where I'm just like, I feel like I have to
Ah,
rush. And now I started listening to like a binaural like workout playlist and I'm like dialed
brilliant.
in,
That's awesome.
dialed in, and there's like no rush. So these little things that you can do that can just bring a little bit more focus and intentionality into what you're doing, like that's the shift that all you
Yeah.
need to bring into it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you get so much more benefit. You're already doing it. So get the
Yeah.
100% benefit from it instead of the 2% benefit that you're getting now.
Mm,
Right? Because what's the point then? Like if you're gonna
yeah.
do it, like
Don't
make it work
half-ass
for
it.
you. You
Yeah, like,
know? Yeah.
yeah. Don't kind of put half energy into it. Like,
No,
put
because then just
and
don't
that's
do
the
it.
thing exactly. And the thing is too, it's I'm not saying like 100% and your 100% is going to be the same every single day because
No,
newsflash,
that's
like
not.
as women especially,
Yes.
hell no, that's very different. That is a
Yeah.
very different whole other conversation when you
Yes.
just start
Yes.
talking about your cycle and the energy and what that looks like. But
Yes.
even if your 100% is going to be different, but you're giving it your all in
Mm-hmm.
everything that you do,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's where, it's like I didn't half-ass this. Like I put everything into this, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we have to like bring more into is just like putting our all into like things that we believe in and really like figuring out those things that you like stand for and kind of
Yeah.
like putting your like fork in the road and kind of like putting that there, taking your stance and like staying in it and not like
Yeah.
wobbling
Yeah.
when, another person kind of comes in and is kind of like, ooh, and you stop questioning yourself, I feel like, when you built this trust and this
100%.
connection with yourself,
Yep.
you don't start swaying, like the wind's gonna come and blow and gonna try and blow you down, but like you're gonna have those roots. They're gonna be
Yep.
so grounded in and you're not swaying because
Yes.
you know yourself, you know, you know yourself and
Yes.
you know where you're going
Yes.
and that, that carries you.
Yes. And I think it all ties back to like your values and your vision
Mm,
for the year. And maybe this is a natural time to ask those questions. We have them all the time, but like, what are my
yeah.
values in this season? And what am I aligned to? And how am I being intentional to make choices that keep bringing me back to that most aligned place? Because like you said, if you're living in that sweet spot, it's so simple to be like, nope, uninterested, not going to do that. No guilt, no shame, no question. Like
Hmm.
you don't even think about it because you're like, well, why that doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't fit. Like I feel like I was on a was on a girls trip with some girlfriends I'd known for like forever, and we still chat, but we're like not like so close in the same way. We're all over the
Hmm.
country. And we went on a trip all together like 2 years ago. And everyone was like, well, our next one. And the Sagittarius and me. And I was like, this might be it. Like, I was like, not to be mean. I
Mm,
love all you guys, but like I have other people in my life who I'm gonna spend my time and money on probably first, more
hmm.
frequently, just because
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Like, I'll send you the
exactly.
memes and we'll chat and stuff. And like, if it could work and we all become millionaires and like don't have to have jobs and can take all the trips, then sure. But like, if I have to choose,
Yeah.
like, I'm choosing what's making sense for me right now. And maybe in another year, that answer would be different. But at that moment, it came out so
Yes.
quickly, and I was like, oh God, I felt like an asshole. But it was just like honest, right? Like, I was like, I'm not going to pretend like it's going to be a yearly thing
Yeah.
it took us 10 years to even do this one. Like,
I
so,
know.
and I just think like I felt bad maybe in my delivery, but I didn't feel bad about the the truthfulness
Hmm.
of my truth. Like
Yes.
it's not mean. It's just I have
It's
other people on that list and other ways I want to spend my money
yeah,
that are going to come
exactly.
first for a while. You're going to get moved
Yeah.
down for now. And so I think like the more though, like you can be unapologetic and confident in who you are, where you're going, even when there's a lot of question marks and it's not like every day I'm just like, I'm amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But like those core values and those core roots are
Yeah.
there, it does feel easier to just take
Yep.
the next steps. And that's where you
Yeah.
find the doors that open and the opportunities that come up and the things that start to align and you're like, oh, right place, right time,
Yeah.
because you're really listening to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you're honoring your wants, your needs, your desires, your goals, your dreams, and you're
Yeah.
trying to live those out within the control that you do have, you know?
Yeah. And they get to change too. And that's the thing, right? I
Yeah,
think we have to just allow for things to change, allow things to fall and just even like the simple little thing, like I mean, we're talking about values right now, but even the sense of just like, a goal that you're like, I've always wanted to do this. And then it just doesn't resonate and it doesn't land. It's not
yep,
something that you like want to focus on right now. Maybe it will be in a year, who knows? Maybe it never will be because maybe it was actually like a goal that came in because of somebody else's, desire and
right,
want, right?
right.
And I feel like it's important for us to just allow things to fall and not get so worked up when things change or worried about, oh, what's this person going to think if like I don't want to do this anymore. It's like you get to be honest and truthful to
Yeah,
yourself. And that's what we all owe ourselves.
yep,
No matter what, we owe that to ourselves
yes,
going into every single year, going into every single season, whatever that looks like for you. And everybody else in our lives owes that to themselves too. And the more that we can do that for ourselves and give ourselves permission, and for you, I mean, be honest about it, the more permission we give other people to be honest
yeah,
about the things that they don't want to do either.
yeah. And the deeper those connections become, because now everyone's showing up as their true selves and not a version
Yes.
that they have to keep up a facade about or remember all the rules to
Hmm.
play. And it
Yeah.
actually is a more connecting experience
Yeah.
than a dividing one. Or if
Yeah.
people start to leave your life when you do that, then I think it's also information that like
Hmm.
were they ever really in alignment or was that really a good
Exactly.
relationship for you in this time if it's really not coming closer when you're
Hmm.
being more yourself. If you have to be someone else
Exactly.
to be close to someone, then that's not a relationship I want in my life. So
100%. And kind of going back, I mean, full circle, it's like
yeah,
in order for you to know these values that you have and what that looks like, you've got to spend time with yourself and reflect on it,
yes,
right? Like you got to create this space to actually ask yourself, what do I want? What do I
yeah,
want?
yeah,
What do I actually want? What do I truly desire and want going into this next year? And not underestimating the power of putting that down on paper, speaking it out loud, because it's our word that like manifests. It's
yep,
our word is our prophecy, and so we get to manifest through our voice, through what we say, through what we write down. And so you got to create the space to have that connection and that relationship for yourself, so you can actually you can listen, you can
yep,
really reflect, you can really see. You have to create that space for yourself.
yes, yes. I love it. And Ashley Ann has a great episode out at the end where she asks some really poignant prompts and questions that
Mm.
you guys should all go listen to give you maybe a starting line for how to maybe think on some of these things. A 10 out of 10 recommend. It was a good episode. What might be something we want to leave folks with? Like we've shared a lot, but if we had to sum it up or
Yeah.
one last drop of wisdom, what would be your parting thought?
I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm going to say it anyways because it just feels like
Do it.
the what I would have told myself, the beginning of maybe not necessarily this year, maybe even like 2023 was just honor the season that you're in and don't feel like there's any pressure. You don't have to
Mm,
force yourself if you're just in a different season than what everyone else might be in, because at the end of the day, it's like it's only kind of us and, you know, we've got to be happy and fulfilled at the end of the day too. And so just really honoring where you're at, creating that space to have that relationship with yourself, to be able to actually listen to the guidance that is like wanting to come to you. Just being able to sit with that and just let it be the season that you have to be in. And even if it just starts in one way and doesn't and ends up different. Like just honor
Yeah,
where you're guided to go and just honor yourself always.
I love that. Thank you so
Mm.
much for all your wisdom, for your time, for this conversation. Is there anything you want to share with folks before we head out that you are doing or offering, or they want to connect with
Mm.
you?
Yeah, I mean, well, Instagram is my primary platform, Words by Ashley Ann, and through there you can get the podcast Beyond the Surface. I think that episode that you mentioned, so beautiful to take those questions and like sit with those
Hmm.
questions are going to be so valuable. And I mean, one of the things that I am is a book strategist. So if you are feeling like a book is in your 2025 and that's kind of like the focus, I have a mentorship that is coming out in the new year. So, I mean, stay tuned, but I'd love to just stay connected and
Yeah.
continue this conversation in any way.
I love that. And also look out for my challenge. I think it also will build on free 15 minutes a day. And I think it will also build on a lot of the themes we've talked about here. You're going to get a flow 3 days a week and then a prompt 3 days a week to really sit in
Mhm.
both areas, and not a quick fix like you're going to lose 10 pounds or like come out like a rock star in some way. But I think it's really the idea is to lay that foundation for the year on setting it up for what you want it to be for you and letting it continue to evolve as it needs to, but giving you those tools to think through how to do that in a strategic and streamlined way. So
Mm,
I'm excited about it. Um,
amazing.
but thank you so much
Love
for
that.
being here. Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year to everyone,
Happy
and
New
I'll see you
Year.
guys in 2025.